Hello mtmfam, welcome to the vlog today. We have never done one of these chats in our room before. Well, actually, that was a lie. We do this every night, just sitting on our bed.
Every night, yeah.
We're doing something a little bit different. I saw that January is esophageal atresia awareness month. So we thought that we would do a video sharing a little bit about Jensen's birth defects and kind of just giving really information, not necessarily about Jensen per se, but about the defect. The first thing is his birth defect is called tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia. Every time I say it, I'm like, I have to like slow down and say it carefully because it is hard to say. But when you're like talking to other parents, you would just be like, oh, I'm a TEF mama or an EA mama. Like you don't say the whole word
what you're talking about,
because it's a tongue twister. What is that? What is it?
Tracheoesophageal fistula.
You just said that with ease.
I got it. The fistula is when
Fistula means pouch.
Yeah, what Jensen was born with. So his esophagus did not connect to his stomach. So he had a pouch that his esophagus ended in a pouch, basically right here up top. And so when he was born, he couldn't really breathe. He couldn't really get anything out. And the doctors tried to essentially, they didn't try to intubate him, but they did try to stick something down into his throat to see what the blockage was. And they tried at least 20 times. I was sitting there just watching the nurses, and then they passed him off to the doctor. They took him to a back room, left Bree where she was, and kept trying to stick this leader down into his esophagus. And that is when the doctor said those really hard words. I had no idea what he was saying. And he said he thinks that's what it is. We need to get him on a life flight immediately.
Your esophagus ends at one point and it just closes off. It's not like it's just open, like letting things, it just is like closed. It's closed. And then you have your stomach, and usually your esophagus connects to your stomach, obviously.
Makes sense.
But the other part of his esophagus grew up. So it's almost like he had two. He had this one that was just like incomplete, and this one that was coming up from his stomach, but it curved over and grew into his airway, probably somewhere right up here, actually. There are several different types of esophageal atresia and of TEF and EA. There's like type A, B, C, D. I think there's several types, even up to H I've seen. But he has type C. They all are a little bit different. They all affect your body a little differently, but same general idea. How common is it?
1 in 4 to 5,000.
Yes. I've heard some people say it's more common than that. I've heard some people say it's less common than that.
Because there are different phases or different stages or just different outcomes.
Other complications. Yeah. So I would say like 1 in every 4,500. It is considered a rare birth defect. I don't know anyone personally else that has this. I have connected with people since then, but we didn't know it. It's like one of those things that when they're telling you, you're like, wait, what the heck is that? Like,
well, even the doctors here at the hospital, they didn't even, doctors knew-ish what it was, but not a common thing. They couldn't treat it here.
Yeah, I think our pediatrician said he's been a pediatrician for 30 years. He said he'd seen 1 or 2 other babies with this in his entire career. Okay, so if you have this, do you need surgery?
I can't think of any cases where you would not.
Yeah, you would never be able to eat safely. You would constantly be, you have to have a surgery.
Well, in his case, there was no way of even eating.
You would have to have a surgery. So they do the surgery generally between 24 and 48 hours of life. I was trying to think how many hours it was before Jensen had his surgery.
It was about 3 days that he had a surgery, and he just had an IV. So the entire time he hadn't had any milk, he hadn't had any food, but he just had nutrition via
a PICC
line. Which is just crazy to me, because if this were 20 to 30 years ago, they had been doing these surgeries, but 40 beyond that, it was pretty experimental. Otherwise, perfect little body would not have made it.
Yeah, they just didn't know what to do. Sometimes they cannot do surgery when at that time frame, because they'll open the baby up and they'll just say like the connection is too far. They just can't stretch their esophagus enough. And it's pretty sad. They just have to close the baby back up and wait till they grow enough that they can do it. So some babies have a really tough go. Jensen's luckily is what they call a short gap. Long gaps are more, they're harder to repair. This is considered a congenital birth defect. So one of the things I think is interesting about this is that people asked me several times when he was born, like, because he was born a little over 2 weeks early. And people would be like, well, if you just would have carried him for the 2 more weeks, would he have been okay? No, it's not. It's one of those things, like, it's just how it grew. It would never fix itself besides having surgery. Congenital means present at birth. So it just is the way his little body grew. What is the cause?
Does anybody know?
I
think it's fascinating that with our DNA and just the way that everything works as far as a baby growing inside of your belly, multiplying from 2 gamete cells.
It is bizarre.
With 23 chromosomes, and they come together and they create life from that. It just blows my mind. And that there couldn't be, everything that has to happen for a baby to be born, it blows my mind that there aren't more complications that happen on a regular basis. I mean, they happen all the time, but it's just crazy. Yeah. It's such a miracle.
It really is. They have been able to trace, I don't even know how, this defect, like the part when it happens in gestation is at 4 weeks. So a lot of women don't even know they're pregnant yet. Just one cell just kind of splits a weird way, and luckily sometimes it affects everything down their midline, like their heart, their kidneys, their vertebrae, it can affect everything down the midline. But luckily his was,
for the most part.
Yeah, his was, we got, I would say the more mild version of the symptoms.
Even though they say his tracheomalacia is one of the worst they've ever seen, but
yeah, he could have had a whole host of other complications. So there's nothing that I could have done differently during my pregnancy. It wasn't like sometimes they say, oh, it's lack of nutrients or this or that. They're just like, there is no way we can know, which is actually gives me a lot of peace of mind, because I did beat myself up about that. Like, did I not refuel my body enough between pregnancies? Did I not, and you just have to, at some point you just have to be at peace and know, like, it is what it is. Yeah. And especially once they grow up, and he's so perfect, and we wouldn't want him any other way. He's perfect. Yeah. Did you know before he was born?
No, and that was not a fun surprise.
We had no idea. Sometimes they can catch it in ultrasound, but not always. They can catch it by if the baby is not swallowing. So they watch to see if the baby is swallowing in an ultrasound. And if the baby's not swallowing, because that is a reflex, like that suck, swallow, breathe is a reflex that happens in utero. They practice swallowing amniotic fluid. That's how the babies develop the muscles. So they do watch for that on ultrasounds, but he was swallowing the amniotic fluid. It was just going down into his airway, because it doesn't matter when you're...
I don't even remember her looking at that. Do you remember that?
I'm sure they look at it and don't even say anything. Yeah. One of the ways that they do know, so if the baby maybe isn't swallowing, that would be a clue. Another clue is that you have high fluids, but I wasn't high fluids and he was swallowing, so it was just a surprise.
Yeah.
So some people may know, but a lot of people don't.
We did not.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Does it get better? Does it go away?
That's the question we get the most.
I think so too. It really is.
And it's a fair question. Everybody asks, and they ask out of hope. They really want for that answer to be yes.
Yeah. Well, I think in general, with medicine and the day and age that we live in, it's you want to be like, okay, there's a fix for this, right? Yeah. There's two answers to this question, really.
The fixes have been all along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And so, he has gotten better. He's gotten a lot better, and he's gotten a lot better even since he was a year old compared to now being 4.5 years old. But at the same time, he still has an esophagus that didn't grow like mine and yours. So it doesn't work 100% like mine and yours. And he still has a trachea that is never going to look exactly like mine and yours. So will he be affected affected by it for his whole life.
Yes.
Yes. But he will get better in the fact that like he probably won't be affected by it the way he was as a baby, and maybe even the way he is as a 4-year-old, because there's still like little things, but I'm hoping when he's an adult it'll just be like a little quirky thing that you'd kind of forget about.
Yeah. Up until just recently, I mean, we were definitely holding on for dear life, you know, with a lot of different circumstances with Jensen. But I don't think this is going to, you know, change or alter the longevity of his life.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It'll alter some of the things that he can and can't do, and but that's just what makes him special and unique, and he'll have different abilities and things that he can do otherwise that we can't.
Yeah. You know, Bodhi really loves sports and, you know, all of these things.
And Bodhi wants Jensen to love sports so bad.
I know. But those are questions that like we're having to ask ourselves right now. Like, what can he do to be safe? I know I met a little boy that has a TEF, and he is like an intense hockey player. So you know, they're doing all these things, but we are still going to have to make the decision that we feel is best for him.
Until he can make those decisions for himself.
Totally. So we'll do our best to keep him safe, and then when he feels like he understands his body, then we'll see.
We still let him be him.
Oh, yeah.
He jumps off of everything. That kid is not afraid of anything. He has a lot of fun. So we're just trying to keep him safe, but at the same time not wrapping him or keeping him in a bubble.
Okay, so the last question that I have written down is, will he need more surgeries?
We hope not. It's possible.
Yeah.
And there could be other things that surface that right now that we don't really know about, but
yeah, just like how 40 years ago they were doing like these esophagus repairs were kind of experimental, and now we have this. Even when Jensen was getting his surgery, he was getting a new version of the surgery and a better version of the surgery. So we just don't know.
Actually, that was her very first time doing that surgery that way, wasn't it? Through the side of his chest. Yeah.
No, I don't think it was her first time, but as medical technology advances, so there might be other things that they find to help him improve, and you never know. So it is possible, but we're not planning on doing anything. He may need some procedures, like possibly an esophagus dilation or something like that. But really, for the most part, I don't see anything on the horizon.
And there was a time that we wondered if he was going to have so he had an aortopexy, where they essentially suture his aorta to the back of his sternum, just opening up his airway that way. And we wondered for a while if we were going to have to do the same thing to his spine. Yeah,
there is another surgery option for his airway, and it's called a tracheopexy. So that has been something that's always kind of been like
in the back of our heads.
Yes.
Not looking like we're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
When we met with the surgeons just this fall, we kind of talked about the pros and cons, and we still just felt like it still is an option for him. Like if we said we want to do it, he could do the surgery. But we just don't feel like
we're not there.
His life is affected enough that we would want to put him through another surgery. So that's kind of it. Oh, I forgot one more thing. Why did he have a feeding tube if he could eat by mouth?
He could eat.
Yeah, he did.
He just struggled eating enough, consuming enough calories. There's multiple reasons and theories somewhat behind that, but part of it too is just with him choking the way that he was and some of the risks that we were having, we couldn't feed him normal nutrition like we did the rest of the kids.
Totally. And that is super common for kids with TEF repairs. A feeding tube lots of kids end up with them. I wanted Jensen to be like the statistic, like the one that didn't need it,
Defy the odds.
And it kind of got down to the point where it was like, you just want to have a healthy kid. And that's what we needed to do to have a healthy kid. And I believe that because he did so many things that doctors didn't think he would do. Like he left the hospital so fast. He ate by mouth without aspirating. So, you know, he did so well. So I just kind of thought like, oh no, he's not going to need that. But most kids do need him, and they need him for a variety of different reasons. Some need him because they do aspirate. Some need him. Some can't take any foods by mouth. Some have more problems, even more problems choking than Jensen. Some, it's an airway issue like Jensen. There's a host of things. It's a weight gain. Like there's so many different reasons why kids may need them with a TEF repair, but a lot of them do.
Our biggest regret with the feeding tube is not
doing it earlier.
Not doing it earlier. It helped
not getting it in his stomach
especially
earlier.
the GI.
The permanent.
Yeah. Because the one through the nose,
G-tube. It was so awful. It was so awful.
He would pull that thing out. All of it was so itchy. It drove him crazy. So finally, we did that, and it was so much better.
Yeah, it was kind of.
We could give him medicine through that. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, there's times now where I'm like, I still wish he had that feeding tube.
Give me one.
I know.
Okay, to my kids.
Anytime your kids are sick in the night, you just give them their medicine right to the tube. They don't even have to wake up. It's perfect.
It was a great way to supplement his nutrition and help him.
It really was.
Flourish.
It really was.
What's the coolest thing about it?
I mean, I don't know if there's the coolest thing.
The coolest thing. Go ahead.
Okay, you say your thing because you've got some on your mind.
I do. I mean, it's not that he loves it, but he makes the sound on purpose. So if you go ahead, fill your trachea right here. Go ahead and fill it. It's tough, right? There's those cartilaginous rings that keep it open. With his, it's very floppy. It's like a balloon letting all of the air out, and it just flops. Did you get a good visual?
I got a visual
there?
Yeah.
So it just flops. So he just walks around the house going,
yeah, he knows how to make the sounds now. He can kind of control it.
Kind of endearing.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah. It's an adorable little quirky thing. And that is actually very common in kids with TEF repairs. They have just a funny little sound that they can make. The bark, yeah, the honk, the bark.
So he has that.
Yep, he has that. I think that is adorable.
It's really cute that anytime he does cough anymore,
he says, "I'm okay."
What's the first thing he says?
I'm okay.
We don't even have to ask anymore.
He says it so fast.
And it's not that we were like helicopter parents where we're always hovering over the top of him, but he's had enough times where we've had to do portions of CPR where we've had to jump in and fix that situation, and he just automatically, as soon as he coughs, especially when he's eating, I'm okay. He lets us know, like he's assuring
I've got it.
as mom and dad, like, hey, we're good.
Yep.
He is a tough little boy.
Yep. It is adorable.
He's so full of life.
Yeah, it is adorable. It's not necessarily a path that we would have chosen, or for any of us, and especially for him, but I also don't ever want Jensen to watch a video like this and have us and think that we think there's something wrong with him.
Pity him.
Or by any, like, he's so perfect, and he is such a gift, and he is so strong, and this has taught us so many beautiful things that it's been a great, I mean, I don't want to say it's been a great experience, but there's a lot of good things that have come out of it.
Especially the proximity, the closeness of the siblings.
Yeah.
Him with his brother and his sisters, they just adore him. They adore each other. They have so much love for each other, and that's a rare thing to really see anymore. I don't know, it's not rare, but it's fun to see how much they really care for each other.
That is all the information that we have for you today. If you guys have other questions, you can leave them down below in the comments. We can try to get to them for you guys. It's not like I love just like talking about this or whatever, but I do. When we found out that he was born and they told us this big long name, I didn't know anyone.
They tried to draw a picture.
So guess what you do? So guess you go straight to the internet. And I'm hoping that someone goes straight to the internet that just found out about their little child having this, and they find our video and they hear us talk about it and talk about 4.5 years down the road and how much better he's doing, and to give them hope, like, for what's going on with their kid. Like, when you're in the thick of it, you're just like, how will we ever get through this? What is this gonna look like? There's not a lot of information about it. It is rare. You're not gonna know 5 other people that have already been through this. So I hope those people find this video and can find comfort in the journey that their child's about to have, because they're gonna make lifelong friendships. They're gonna learn things about their family. They're gonna just learn to love and their child on such a different level. It's beautiful. So
we hope we share that outcome. We hope you share that outcome.
Yes. So thanks for hanging out with us today. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Bye.